unlike the other Creed games, and most video games in general, even in this new age of live services bullshit, let's just call it what it is, the games have never had more than 1 or 2 story-driven DLCs that would really give players the extra reason to continue playing a game once they finished it. Yeah, you really can't sustain concurrent user numbers just on login bonuses. That's all I'm gonna say on the live services thing today. So let's get to Syndicate. AC Syndicate has 4 pieces of story-driven DLC. Yeah, 4. That is a crazy number when compared to most games. The only other series that stacks up with that is the Borderlands series, and especially its sequel, which had 8 or 9 pieces of story DLC. The first one in this series we're going to do is the earliest release because it was actually the pre-order bonus included with the Streets of London DLC, which included some new costumes, over a dozen new weapons, and likewise, so I won't be too much of a dick about its $7 price point. Plus, Syndicate already gives you plenty of unlockable costumes in the main game, so it's bad, but not terrible. You also get another totally unconnected pre-order mission called Runaway Train, which is a quest pretty much what it says on the tin. Our incompetent engineers somehow broke the brakes on our train hideout, and so it is flying all the way through London out of control and the Fries have to stop it. First, they have to get on the train, which is pretty difficult, yet thankfully the pathfinding of the train usually leads to that train bridge that is low enough to allow easy access to the trains on the bridge. Then the mission becomes hitting fires on top of the train so that it doesn't explode. This mission is fairly difficult because it involves quick running everywhere due to the constantly lowering health of the train, providing a great timer mechanic. The sync mission is to not get burned ever, and with a contextual button to put out fires only on one side of the fire and time being of the essence, hitting that is stupid hard, and then you have to go from the roof to the platform of the train to deal with random metal getting jammed in the wheels, all combined with QTEs that get progressively more difficult, so at the very least, this mission isn't exactly the definition of a fun time, mostly because the reward for beating it is just our train not exploding and a paltry handful of coins and XP. For being an attempt at a pulse-pounding chase against the clock, this mission is a pretty heavy wet blanket in reality. However, the big reason you want to get this pack is for the story DLC that was put into it. The Darwin Dickens Conspiracy, which for some reason is only unlocked after you do both Charles Dickens and Charles Darwin's side quest lines in the main game. It's almost like Ubisoft chopped the content off the main game to sell at specific retailers for extra coin. But they never do that, just look at the press releases that they put out. Sarcasm aside, it honestly would have been better if they had kept it off the game entirely, because this pre-order bonus is the worst bit of DLC available for Syndicate, because it makes no goddamn sense! Neither of Dickens or Darwin's quest lines were building up to this, and it really feels like Darwin and Dickens are just making up random problems for the player to solve as an obligation to the fact that they paid extra money to have this experience. The first mission of the conspiracy is that Darwin needs a rare flower specimen to be delivered to his practice for evolution research, but he's just being assailed by the blighters all across town while trying to get it, which means that this mission is just a pile of combat sprinkled on top of a stupid fetch quest for the frail scientist. I have no idea why this is the start of the 3-mission conspiracy, because nothing else in either character's questline built up to the actual conspiracy of the title. Helping their mutual friend seal an arranged wedding. Yep, in Ubisoft's world, the only true conspiracy is love. You may now vomit. Anyway, the first step of this journey already shows how bonkers of a matchmake this is going to be. Not even 2 minutes after meeting the fateful groom, we end up with a blighter attack, and they died almost immediately after we saw them. The groom-to-be uses the subterfuge of this incident's publishing in the papers to fake his death, and decides to meet the bride without his bustling inheritance to muddy the waters. First things first though, we have to throw the blighter's body into the Thames, which is a lot harder of an objective than you'd think, mostly because I wasn't able to just toss it over London Bridge, which was right next to the train depot. No, I had to meander my stupid-ass carriage down twist tracks to get to the beach, and then monkey around with the throw command because Syndicate was being stupid that day. Oh, and you should remember that you actually can't carry a dead body around without attracting attention, meaning that I had to kill more blighters and defend stupid Marriage Boy before actually completing the mission. We meet up with him again and figure out that he's fallen in actual love with his arranged bride, and now we have to go on sitcom-based shenanigans to get the pair off to the church bells, or whatever metaphor that was supposed to be. Mr. Groomsian has developed a perfect plan to make this happen. He wants the player to kidnap his new wife, drop his dopey ass off in the seedier parts of London, and then have a fake fight with him so that he can look like a knight in shining armor. Not in that order, obviously. Kidnapping the bride wasn't actually that hard, surprisingly, and then giving her a free ride to Murder Town, which she wasn't even grateful for, and then having one of the most ridiculous combat encounters I've had since my Dark Souls 2 days. I don't know why Ubisoft designed it to work like this, but they made losing to the groom look a lot harder than it should be, since you have to throw punches, but not enough of them so that it looks legit, which it inevitably doesn't because if the fight drags on too long, Miss Wants to Be Married gets suspicious about it anyway. Whatever, Groom fakes the last blow and then drags her away with the renewed confidence to get hitched up. Yes, that ridiculous off-the-cuff plan of Mr. Tuxedo Man actually worked despite having a bigger hole in it than the Titanic. Hopefully you get your $7 worth out of the downloadable weapons because this is one piece of moronic story DLC that'll live on in the tomes of stupid business decisions. One mission that has nothing to do with the other two that form a half-assed conspiracy that only work because the person being conned is dumber than a sack of potatoes. At least Darwin and Dickens get to pretend like they did something worthwhile.